Hey guys, welcome to Tell Me Everything. This is a show where we sit down, talk to amazing people, and dive into conversations that inspire, motivate, and leave you feeling excited about your own life. Some weeks it'll be stories from people doing incredible things, and other weeks it'll just be me sharing what I'm learning, thinking about, or curious about. All the things that help us grow, laugh, and keep moving forward. We are talking ideas, ambition, friendship, life lessons, and all the little things that make life feel full and interesting. No filters here, no pretending, just good energy, real talk, and the kind of conversation you actually want to be a part of. So wherever you are listening from, in your car, on your walk, or at home, I'm glad you are here. Let's jump into it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Tell Me Everything. This week, we are talking all about student loans. And if you know me, you know that I'm pretty passionate about my student loans. I have them, I regret them, and I probably talk about them a million times per week, mostly because I wish somebody had me back in the day. Like, I wish I had me back in the day. I just really believe we all need a plan when we're borrowing money, and we need to understand what we're borrowing, and we just need to understand what repayment even looks like. And I don't think we talk about that enough. I think we just think like sign here, live in the present day, sign here, and you'll deal with that later in life. But later in life, I've learned, comes faster than we think. And I've just been through it. So I've learned a lot about my student loan process. So I really, really want you guys to learn about student loan debt, whether it's something that's interesting or not to you. If you have them, I think it's really important for you to be educated on different plans that are out there and different services that may help you repay them back faster and more efficiently. So this week we unpack it all. I've been working with this woman, Mali Martinez. She works for a law firm, and they specialize in loan repayment. I've been working with her for about 9 years. So the first year I'm in public service. The first year I did it on my own. I was young, naive, and I wasn't the person I was today. I can drop the ball. I used to be able to drop the ball on things, and I was like laxy daisy with things, go with the flow. But now I'm like a little bit more analytical and like, I don't know, anal. So 9 years ago, I was recommended to call her office, and I signed on with her. And it's helped me tremendously. It keeps my paperwork clean. I know what's coming up. I know the new laws that are being set in place. I'm learning that, but it just helps so much to have somebody to call and piggyback the information off of. Like, am I understanding this right? Am I not understanding this right? What should I do next? What's coming up for me? So there are things in this episode that really I feel can be useful for you, especially if you have student loans. Plus, student loans is crazy. We all know we're in a student loan crisis. So I don't know. I'm against them. I don't think the younger generation should be signing student loans. But whatever. I'm biased, and I'm not here to get you guys angry or make any negative emotions. But I do feel like having her on this episode is so crucial, so beneficial. I have family members, I have best friends that are in repayment for student loans in the middle of their 30s. Some are having children, creating families, building families, and more than ever now, or having mortgages. Like, there's so many moving parts to becoming a 30 something year old adult. So it's just really important to make sure that you have a plan in place and understand your loans, and just have somebody to piggyback your ideas off of, so you can paint the best picture and make the best decisions for your future self, because in 10 years you're going to be a completely different person. So with all that being said and that big long introduction, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm so excited to ask you these questions and just get to know and get more educated on the student loan process. And I'm hoping that this week's episode helps somebody kind of fill in the blanks about their questions regarding their own personal student loans. So I'm really, really thankful that you are on this week. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So if you want to open up and just tell the listeners like what you do for a living, you've helped me so much and you work very specifically with student loans. So if you just want to share a little bit about what you do specifically, that way they can kind of understand why you're so informed about all of this.
Absolutely. So, my name is Mali Martinez. I assist people with their federal student loans, getting them in the program that's going to be most beneficial for them. The Department of Education has a lot of programs out there that sometimes people don't know about. And my job is to review the information because, again, all student loans are not the same. And what I mean by that is everybody's situation is different. Everybody's income is different, balance, interest rate. And there's a lot of different programs that people can benefit from. You just have to kind of know where to look. So, what we do at our office is we review, we have a consultation, which is free. We review the information, student loans, income, family size, and we look to see what we recommend, which would be most beneficial. And again, it depends on your income, family size, job, loan amount, interest rate. So that's what we do. We review everything and then we present what we believe is the best option for that person's student loans. It's a recommendation, and then at that point, they do what they want with the information. Again, we do a free consultation. So at the end of the day, I send them the information like these are your options. And they can, and I always say, because I am 100% honest and I like to be transparent, the what we do is I provide a service, but it's something that you can do on your own for free. I don't we're not here to hide anything. I know that I would want someone to be very transparent with me if I was on the other end. So that's why I'm that way. Um, so that's the gist of it. So the Department of Education has a lot of programs that are beneficial to some, not to all, if I'm being honest, but there are great programs out there that people should take advantage of. So
Mhm.
um, I can go through those.
Hi, please.
Absolutely. Okay. So the Department of Education. So first thing is first, once you graduate, you should definitely be looking at your options. There are options. Just because your servicer sends you a statement saying your monthly payment is $500, it's probably basically that it's a fixed payment, because normally that's what they give when you graduate, right? So you graduate, you have 6 months of a grace period, and then they place you on a fixed standard plan. um,
Mhm.
but you have options. So I will always say, okay, go onto the studentaid.gov website. All the information is there. There is a loan simulator where you can enter the information and see what available repayment options best suit you and your needs, because everybody's needs are different. So that's if there's any takeaway, is that, like,
Mhm.
don't assume that that person has the same job as me, and whatever it may be, but their income could be less than yours or more than yours. It just,
Right.
every situation is different.
Mhm.
So I say, don't look at anybody else, focus on you,
Mhm.
and get your options. So when we do our consultations, I have a questionnaire that I send off, which asks for income, family size, the job you have, your employer. Um, there are multiple options. So what
Mhm.
we really focus on is the loan forgiveness program, and
Mhm.
it's kind of like a two-parter. So the first part is that the Department of Education has an income-driven loan forgiveness program, which is it's based on the payment is calculated based on your income and your family size. Okay. And then so that income driven plan could be anywhere from 20 to 25 years, depending on when you took out your loans. That's very important. So anyone who took out their loans, if and when I say take out, it's when it was originated.
Borrowed.
So that a loan origination date,
Okay. The
that
day you
date,
take the loan.
the date you took out the loan. Yeah, and you can locate that on the studentaid.gov website. That is the database for the Department of Education. So it will list that loan date on there. So if your loans were originated July 1st of 2014 and before July 1st of 2014, you kind of fall under what they call the income-based plan. And that is 15% of your discretionary income is how what they use to calculate your payment along with your family size. Now,
Oh.
if your loans are all after July or from July 1st, 2014 forward, now you're on a 10% discretionary income.
Oh. Mm.
So the any again loans prior to July 1st, 2014, it's 15% and the term is 25 years. That they call that the old IBR plan. The new IBR plan is loans from July 1st, 2014 forward, which is 10% of your discretionary income and only a 20-year plan. And when I say the 20-year and 25 years, that means that you make payments for 20 or 25 years, and after that, your loans are forgiven. Now, there were a total, technically, there's four income driven plans. However, July of last year, the president signed what they call the Big Beautiful Bill, eliminating the pay as you earn plan, the income contingent plan, and then the save plan that has been stuck in litigations since 2014. No, I'm sorry, 2024, July of 2024. Um, and then recently in December, the Department of Education announced a proposal to eliminate the save plan sooner than later. And it's,
Mhm.
of course, held up in court. We're waiting for the court to make a decision on when it's going to be eliminated. If they don't make a decision, then it goes back to the big beautiful bill. These other three plans will be eliminated by July 1st of 2028.
So wait a minute. What does that mean for bar? Okay, am I cutting you off?
No, 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 it's okay. You're right. I know where you're going. Okay.
This can make
So
my palm sweaty.
no, no, don't. No, it's okay. So, okay. So anybody in any of the income driven plans has until July 1st, 2028 to segue to the income based plan. So they're allowing these what is it, like 3 years,
Mhm.
3-ish years before you have to segue into it. So I always as information trickles down to me, and because I'm on their website constantly looking for updates and looking at news articles, I advise my clients, okay, this is where you're at, these are your options, what do you want to do? At the end of the day, I can't make the decisions for my clients. I provide the information over and they have to make the decision. We can make a recommendation, of course, um, but that's kind of where it lies. But the income based plan has been standing for years. It was written into law back before 2007. So technically, the president can't take it out. That's why he eliminated the other ones. He couldn't take out IBR, but he eliminated the other ones because with each presidency, it's kind of they've updated it, they've added, or they've deleted. So with each president, we've seen changes. Um,
Okay.
come next president, he could come. The next one could come back and be like, "Oh, I have my own plan." So
Yeah.
now this president is adding a new plan called the RAP plan, the
Oh,
RAP
no.
the
Okay.
RAP plan. Yeah.
And what?
RAP. So this one is it's set to begin July 1st. So it has minimal information out there, but it is a 30-year plan. So the loan forgiveness term is extended. So it's not 20 or 25, it's 30. But the way they base the income is solely on adjusted gross income and a percentage of it.
Okay.
It's pretty long, the percentages, but it's all on the studentaid.gov website. Um, Minimal information is there. I think it's kind of they're waiting for July 1st to give out the whole guideline for this RAP plan. And of course, I advise clients, okay, this is upcoming. Um, you know, you just have to just keep on the lookout because the Department of Education does email
Okay.
clients. If you are on the database, if you have an FSA account, then you should be getting the notifications. If you're not, then um, I suggest you log in and make sure that you're receiving the notifications because it's really important to keep up with that because you just never know.
Quick little pause because I want to share something I genuinely use and love. If you've been listening for a while, you know I'm really intentional about my health, my sleep, my nervous system, just all of it. And one brand I've been falling in love with is Bond Charge. I do have an affiliate code with them, which means I may earn a small commission if you use it. So thank you in advance for supporting the show. I have their red light mask and I use it pretty much every single night. Honestly, if I skip it, I truly feel off. It's become part of my wind down ritual. I'll turn it on, I'll set it for 30 minutes, that's the max, and I usually play a guided meditation while I'm using it. It helps me just relax, regulate, and transition into sleep. And the results, I really do notice a huge difference. My fine lines look softer in the morning. My skin has that dewy glow. It just feels like part of my holistic well being at this point. I also use their blue light blocker glasses. I put them on when I get home from work, especially as the sun is setting. It helps my eyes just adjust to a dimmer light and not stay so overstimulated from the bright lights and bright screens, which really supports my sleep. And their red light wand, that's what I started with. Now I pack it whenever I travel so I can still get my red light therapy in whenever I'm not home. If you want to try anything, the mask, the glasses, the wand, you can use code TME15 for 15% off. I'll link everything in the show notes. Thank you for supporting the brands that support this show.
You know,
Okay, to piggyback off of what you were saying, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding. When you're saying things like 25, 30 year, okay, so I'm on the 10-year public service loan forgiveness plan. That's 10 years. And then anything after that, it would be forgiven, right?
that's correct. So that's the second part. But go ahead.
Okay. I don't want to get jumped too far ahead. I
No,
just
no, no, please. I want your question.
so there are people paying their student loans for 25 to 30 years, like a mortgage.
Well, not 30 yet, but it will be starting in July. So right now the two plans available are 20 and 25 years. However, there are other programs. So this is the first part. This is if you're not working in public service. So
Okay.
being an employee in public service, a public service organization, you have an added benefit that your term is cut to a 10-year plan. It's called the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So it's the organization. It's if you work for the government, if you work for federal, a city, town, county, the school board, a nonprofit organization, which is a 501c3. Those are public service organizations. And as long as you meet the requirements, because yes, there are requirements, you have to work at least 30 hours a week to be considered full time to to meet that requirement. So how it works is you make an income driven payment while working in public service. And once you've done that for 120 payments, which is 10 years, then
Mhm.
whatever the remaining balance, that's principal balance, whatever it may be, whatever that balance is forgiven under public service loan forgiveness. Um, So that, I mean, if you can be in public service, that would be like the first thing I say, like nonprofit organizations. And if you're unsure, guess what? There's a tool on the studentaid.gov website to that you can look at and search your employer to see if they are a qualified organization. All you need is their federal employer identification number, or the tax ID number, which is located on your W-2, or you can always ask them to provide that 9-digit tax ID number. You can go on to, it's called PSL, PSLF tools. You can put that on your Google address, and then it'll come up. There's a little button that says search employers. You could
Mhm.
search it, add the employer identification number. Once you hit search, you scroll down, and you'll see the name, and
Mhm.
it'll say off to the right, eligible, ineligible, and sometimes it could say undetermined. And then undetermined could be that maybe at one point it could have been, or it could be that they could fall under half,
Either.
yeah, it like half and half. So it may ask you for additional information. And I have an example. I had a client that worked for a nonprofit organization, but for some reason, the Department of Education wasn't picking it up. We knew it was a nonprofit organization. So all we had to do, and again, sometimes it requires a little legwork.
Right.
I'm game, right? So I said, okay, let's locate their, ask for the articles of incorporation for your employer. And she had worked there for so long, like 20
Mhm.
something years. So it's not like uh, she had a good rapport. So they gave them to her. I submitted them, and that's all it took. They
Oh,
updated it. Her loans were forgiven a couple of years ago, and she was in her, I want to say, in her late 60s. Yeah.
oh, that is a fear of mine, though, to be paying back student debt when you typically borrow it when you're young.
Yeah.
To me, you're adolescent, but I know you're older than that because you're in your 20s. But like you're just so young signing these bigger bills and you don't understand them.
Yeah.
I do wish that we had more people
Education.
education, like people like you to kind of come instead, because I work in a school, instead of having people like you to come and educate about like what a plan would be, or to go on the website and search for, if you're going to go to school and borrow money, this is the type of career that would the
Benefit.
plan that would fit like this type of option. Instead we have like financial FAFSA come and
Mhm.
you just educate on, if you're not getting a scholarship, you'll sign here and it'll be based off of your household income, and it's like that's all these are the buzzwords, and nobody realizes, I don't think. Wait, I don't want to misspeak. I think people get it now because we are in such a student loan crisis.
Yes.
I think people get it now, so they're a little bit more like apprehensive about what they're signing. But back in my generation, so many me and all my friends, we signed things and we did not realize that like 10 years later, we may not be in love with our career and we're kind of stuck because you have these crazy payments.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that I've always not always, when I started doing this the federal student loans, working in them, I was like, holy moly, this should be a class in high school. The
Mhm.
kids should know this budgeting, like what your life is going to look like after you come out of school, because some of these are hefty payments.
I
I
know.
see payments up there in hundreds, and they're, some people are just coming out of school making minimum wage. It's like, how am I going to afford this? So it's very, very important that they get educated in high school before they sign anything. Like it's so unfair. Definitely unfair. They should have something. That's like on top of my list. Like we need to
No.
advocate for that.
I know. I almost feel like I wish we could go. I feel like other countries, I don't know this factually, but I feel like they do. Um, their students can't borrow money unless you pass a test and you test into a university. And then I think it's free in a lot of countries, like going to university, depending on your test scores. So if you don't have the test scores, then you're kind of going into the workforce, is what how I understand it when I talk to some of my students who are not from here, and I'm just like, wow, that just seems like such a healthier plan. I mean, I don't know, there's pros and cons to every plan, and I recognize that.
Course.
It's just, because we are borrowing a lot of money. So then there are people that have a mortgage who's getting to their 30s and they're told you better buy your home because
Mhm.
like, that's the other American dream. And then so now they're paying off a home plus finishing off their student loans and figuring out a plan for that. And just like life gets more expensive as you get older and nobody talks about that part.
That's true, and there's something, that, is, like a myth, or would say a misrepresentation. Some people think um, that the Department of Education takes, like, other expenses into consideration, which it's not the case.
Yeah.
It's solely based, I mean, with the income-driven plan, it's based on income and family size, but expenses are never taken into consideration. I've
Mhm.
had clients that have said, "My mortgage is so high," and I say, I promise you that you can't, they don't care, unfortunately. They don't care that your mortgage is $3,000. They want their money. It's a government backed. So they are going to, one way or another, um, get their money, and that's the unfortunate part.
Yeah.
Um, that and something that we had discussed, you know, um, that the Department of Education, if you decide not to make your payments, they will come after you. That if you don't make your payments, they can garnish your wages. They'll garnish your taxes year after year until, they're brought current and are in good standings. And
Mhm.
I even had a client that had their social security garnished because they didn't know what to do, and they kind of just let it ride and forgot about it. And that's one thing that people should not do. There are options. So it's very, very important that you seek all options. There are options. And especially if you're coming out of school, um, with these income driven plans, and if you're not making a lot of income, you need to get into them right away. Um, Going forward, under the big beautiful bill, one of the income based plan, which if anybody's in an income driven plan, they're safe right now. But going forward under this big beautiful bill, anybody with new loans, and we're talking about new loans July 1st of 2026 and forward, they will only have, according under the big beautiful bill, only two options. And it's the RAP plan,
A new plan.
which is an income driven plan, or a standard plan. It's not going to be two plans. It's not going to be multiple plans anymore. So
Mhm.
anybody that has loans before uh, July 1st of 2026 would be safe under the income based plan, because you can still, if you're not making any money, you can get a $0 payment. But under this RAP plan, the minimum, let's say you don't even have a job, minimum payment is $10.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
So
even employed, you have to figure out how to get money. Wow.
at least $10 a month, at least,
Wow.
which is unfortunate because there are situations. How Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, this is why I wanted to have you on, because I'm so passionate about it. And also because
I
in my life, like just to not to be an overshare, but I'm gonna share. But like I feel stuck because now I feel like I can't even move if I wanted to, like out of state or something. Like I'm very tied to my situation until these loans are done. And nobody sat me down to really tell me clearly what it was. I mean, I'm just like I've just turned into a self-educator. So now when I learn, I just want to tell everybody else. So I'm really happy that you're here to kind of b- like fill in the blanks, because I know people have so many questions about it. I mean, that was one of my questions too. Is like, why do so many borrowers feel stuck and overwhelmed. And I think it's because of lack of education, and it's just intimidating. Like, to hear
Very.
president comes in and changes things, it makes people fearful. And then I think they ignore them, and that's when like the finance stress starts to kick in.
Absolutely. And then during COVID, I mean, they did a good thing. They placed everybody in an administrative forbearance to give a breather. A lot of people lost their jobs. So it was a good thing what they did, putting them in in that COVID forbearance and allowing people that breather. But now it's like, this new plan, it could be beneficial to many. We won't know until we move
They doing
forward.
away with the 10 years? Or
I'm
is
sorry.
public are they doing away with the 10 years public
Oh,
service?
no,
That's
no, no, no. Public service is also was written into law. That was written into law in 2007.
mhm,
So that it's not going away. There were updates to public service. So there was under the big beautiful bill, there were certain organizations that if they are shady or you know they don't align with America, let's just say, that they are not going to be considered public service. So
mhm,
if I guess it's certain situations. I know you have to kind of align with being an actual public organization and not doing anything that's
okay.
ungovernmental or un-American. I guess I'll just leave it at that.
Got it, got it, got it. Okay, excellent. So, but I'm safe because I'm in a public school.
You're good, girl. Schools, the fire department,
Okay.
police.
Some
um
nurse, maybe, like, if they're at a public hospital.
Yes, nurses, yes, that's another one. Okay, a lot of nurses, I had that written down. A lot of people, a lot of nurses believe that they work at a nonprofit organization, and most hospitals, well, I can't say most. I guess it's a some are nonprofit and some are private. So you
Mhm,
really have to see who's paying you. Okay, so I'm just going to go back 1 second. So define it. Let me define this. It's who's paying you. Okay, who's paying you is what's going to determine public service. And I'm going to give an example. There is charter schools out there that are nonprofit organizations.
mhm,
However, if that nonprofit organization has a parent company who is a profit company, and that profit company is paying you, then you're not in public service. So you have to
mhm,
be very mindful of who is paying you. So
mhm,
what's on your W-2? So if
mhm.
you're looking to go into public service, ask the question, what is your employer identification number? I need to know what it is, because you don't want to be working for a place that then you're working making payments and you didn't qualify. And that would be terrible.
Yeah, that would be awful, and I feel like we have a situation with my friend, like, she
Yes.
really thought she was gonna work a couple more years and was, like, bitter about it until she figured out, thank gosh we have you. And that's another reason why I wanted you on this podcast, because I get it's, you're such a valuable service, I feel, because you can self-educate and go on the website and learn on your own, but you have no one there to answer these types of questions with like empathy and in depth with knowledge. And you could call them, the Department of Education, or the um the financial aid people.
Service. Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. They're not gonna explain it to you. You'll be on hold forever. I mean, you know what it's like. And then they answer like kind of half-assed and then
Yeah.
they hang up the phone. So it's like, this is you educating us is so important. And like, not to overshare my friend's story, but just to give you a synopsis, she had her student loans, she switched schools, she came from a charter school into a public school, and she was told by a friend or somebody like those 3 years don't count because they're a charter school, charter schools don't count. And then we ended up finding out a couple months ago that they counted, and like it's a gift, and it brings her time back in place, like, so she doesn't have to keep working in a job that maybe she's not inspired by, or you know what I mean? She's not handcuffed to that decision she made 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And
Mhm.
again, it's very important. Like if you feel like you worked for a nonprofit and you can go back, um,
Mhm.
I I go through with a fine comb on employer. Like, did you work for a public sector? No, I don't think it was. I'm like, send me the employer identification number. I prefer to answer the what ifs.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
why? I'd rather know that it's a no,
yeah.
than the, "Oh, maybe it could have I could have been done a year earlier." So, no, it's very important just to look it up. It's not gonna hurt you. It takes seconds to go onto the website, get that employer identification number, and see if they count. I mean, that's so excited that she gets to be done sooner than later. Like,
I mean, it's just nice.
years sooner.
Exactly. It's just so good to know you don't have to worry about that anymore, that debt, or it's just so much better to free yourself of it.
Yes.
Um, But one thing that came to my mind while we were just talking is like people, when I talk to my friends, oh, this isn't something that was pretty big. Like when I talk to my friends, a lot of people didn't even know that the safe plan was in court and they're arguing it. So now I just really want people who are listening to realize that you've chosen a plan, whether you're aware of it or not, and they're fighting it in court and they're not taking payments.
Right.
So these are not qualifying payments, like, this is not COVID anymore, so this is not COVID, they did count those
Yes,
payments.
they did. Those 3 years they counted.
So I don't know how many people are being mindful, one, that it's being argued in the courts and they're not being deducted their payments, or if they're saving these payments because you said that we can buy back too in the future, right?
For those in public service. Now,
Mhm.
if you're just on an income-driven plan and you're not in public service, you cannot buy them back, not right now. That's not an option for anybody else. It's only an option for those that are in public service.
The more we talk, I feel like it's more, beneficial to borrow money and then go work public service. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm biased or not, but it just sounds like there's more advantages to it than going into public, you know, workforce.
Yeah, absolutely. There, yeah, I give you an example. I've been doing this for a little bit over 10 years, and when my daughter was going to graduate high school, I looked at her and said, I was like, "Babe, you're not borrowing a cent." I said, "Work.
Yeah.
You have a free house here that you could, as long as you're going to school, you work and you pay." And
Yeah.
even though she fought me tooth and nail because she didn't want to go to Palm Beach State, and she's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I hate it." I was like, "I don't care." I don't care. And then after she did her 2 years associates, she transferred to UCF, but she still worked and she paid. She
Yeah.
paid UCF for 2 years and we helped her.
Yeah.
But when she graduated with her bachelor's, she came out of
I
school
don't
with no student loans.
yeah,
That
yeah,
that was gold for us. Gold.
100%. I'm happy you shared that story. Do you see a difference now with the younger generation that they're borrowing a lot less, or are they still continuing to borrow? Are the numbers still high?
I think that it's the majority of my clients are older. I don't have as many if I'm being honest. Maybe they are being more educated. I think they're taking more interest in knowing. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, but there are still kids out there that have no idea. Just listening to, y- youth out there or friends of friends, they'll say this and I'll say, that's not right. Don't do that. They just pay it. Like if
Mhm.
you're gonna, especially if you're gonna go to community college, just work a little harder and pay it. Um, but yeah, education is just like key for them, everyone to be educated of, you know, student loans, federal student loans.
Mhm.
But again, that there are options. There are also other programs that are valuable to those in certain situations. I know there's the borrower defense to repayment, which is if you went to a school that closed down, um, that there could be lawsuits against them, you can write on the studentaid.gov website, put borrower defense, and you can apply right online. Like the Art Institute is one of them. The University of Phoenix, if you were enrolled there from, I believe, September of 2012 to December of 2014, there's so much information out there in on their website, but that's one of the programs. You can have your loans discharged if there was a misrepresentation by the school. Yeah, it's called a borrower defense discharge, because they lied to you. They advertised things that were not true. They promised you that they would help you with a job, and then they dropped off the planet. That there's a lot of information. There's another one. I just want to touch point on this one. For those, anyone that is on, let's say, social security disability, like you're totally and permanently disabled and you have student loans, there is a great program called TPD, Total and Permanent Disability. It's 3 years. If you are on social security disability income, or you're disabled, it's a simple application that you could complete. And after a 3 year of they they follow up with you every year to make sure your situation hasn't changed. And after the third year, if nothing has changed, your loans are discharged.
Ooh,
Because
wow.
and again,
Right.
the information is there. But it's like, there's,
Wow.
yeah, there's stuff out there.
I think that if you're not educating and you're asking questions, you're not gonna know.
Right, right.
Mm,
Exactly.
so
But
crazy.
there are options. There's options. You should definitely look. We do, like I mentioned at the beginning, we do a free consultation.
Mhm.
Um, and it's a joyful. I love helping people, because I'm on this end, and how I address everyone is like, I would want someone to just help me, hold my hand, and take me along. Like, this is what here's the information, you do what you want with it.
Mhm.
But I'm here to facilitate that need. It's a service that we do provide. And like I said, we don't I'm very transparent. You can do it on your own for free. But for those that are frustrated, that don't want to deal,
Yeah.
I'm here for that.
No, 100%, and I'm like, I I will vouch for that because I do the homework, and anytime read something, I call you right away.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
Love
and
it.
I probably at this point in the game could do it myself and just like ride it out, but I don't feel comfortable because if I have a question or the verbiage online I can't understand, I like that you are a resource for me and you can help me kind of make the best plan for me because I did mess up. Like I had that one time to consolidate my loans and I didn't do it. And I should have, honestly. I don't know why I didn't. I think because I didn't want my monthly payment to go up at the time. But had I just like forward thought for a little bit, I would have sacrificed and rebudgeted that year's worth of like allocating my money and just made that choice because now my loans don't get forgiven for another 4 extra months. And I know in the grand scheme of things, it's small, but it's still 4 months, you know? So it's a service that I think is super, super important. And I think that if you don't understand the loans that you borrowed, then it's best to talk to somebody and you are very transparent. And that's what I like the most about you and the company, you know. So I've just seen it work. My friend's story, I don't know. I'm a little jealous of her to be honest, and she knows it. But like I don't know. I was always gonna finish first, so that's always a good. Even if you're not a competitive person, like it's always a good feeling. And like, I think my loans are gonna get forgiven. I'm like, oh, cool. So when will you finish? Like when I do, she's like, no, I today. I'm like, what?
That was a really great conversation too. It was just
Yeah,
like, wait a second. I think I figured out something. And it was just one of those aha moments. It was something that I can't even it was just like such a great moment. But
yeah,
again, research. answer the what if.
What if but if she didn't have you, she wouldn't have figured it out on her own, and that's what I really wanted to, like, say. It was a
Yeah.
long-winded way to
No, no,
say
no, it's okay.
she wouldn't have known if she didn't have the service. So I think it's so important, especially if you're not somebody that stays up to date with current events or big bills being passed by the government and legislature. Like, it's not gonna do harm. If anything, it's gonna save you time and aggravation, and you could plan accordingly, like, effectively, in my mind. Like,
Absolutely.
that's what's important to me.
Yes.
Crazy. I do have, like, some other questions, though,
Yeah.
like, um I I guess, like, so when we were talking about 10-year loan forgive, I guess I'm biased because that's my plan. That's what I'm on. So that's all I understand. But if you're on the 20-year track,
Mhm.
they have some incentives you were saying. Like, you have some people truly paying them off over 20 years. Is that what's going on?
I did. I've had so when Biden was in when Biden was in office, so he during his time there, he did do some really good stuff. He added some things that did help. I had over I can't even, maybe over 50 clients receive loan forgiveness under just the IDR 20-25 years because they had been paying and paying and paying. So during the Biden administration, they opened it up that if you had made any payments at any
Mhm.
time during to the Department of Education, no matter what plan you were on, they were going to count. And I had over 50 I'm sure I can go back and pull so many. I had so many clients receive loan forgiveness under this. So the IDR is a little, not that it's different, but there is no application like public service, because public service, basically you have to your employer has to verify that you're employed there and meet the requirements. So that has to be submitted just to give the timeframes that you're still there, so they count those payments while you're still working. With the income driven, once you've made your payments and you've hit that term, your loans are forgiven. There's nothing that you have to apply for. It's you make the payments under income driven and you're done. The loans are forgiven.
Mhm.
So, up to 2025, under the CARES Act, which was for COVID, they had the tax implication on the loan forgiveness waived. So, if you have your loans forgiven up to December 31st of 2025, you weren't on the hook for any forgiveness amount. Now, going forward, as of 2026, if you do have your loans forgiven under the income driven, the 20 or 25 years, there are tax implications because that hasn't been updated. Now, can
Mhm.
the government come back and say, we're going to continue the tax exemption? Yeah, they could. But for right now, it hasn't been extended. So that's something else that I tell clients. Like, you have to weigh in all these options.
Mhm.
Because at the end, you know, you would have to seek like a CPA to kind of what it would have to be, the taxes that you would pay on that forgiven amount, because under public service, that's it's you're tax exempt, so you don't, any forgiveness amount is covered, so you're not on the hook for anything forgiven, that or total and permanent disability. If your loans are forgiven under that, then you are not on the hook for any of the forgiveness amount either. But for income driven, going forward, if they, again, they haven't extended that exemption. If they do, that'd be great. And like I tell everyone, it's not on now, but can the next president add it? Yes. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like it's a 50-50.
Right.
So you never know. But I tell all those clients that are in an income driven, like, hey, seek at tax advice regarding that loan forgiveness amount, because we just, that's not my expertise. So that's something that they have to look into. But I was like, okay, listen, just get with a tax attorney or an accountant that knows those laws, someone that is an expert in those laws, to see what it's going to look like at the end of your 20 or 25 years. That's important to consider.
Right. Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
see, like, last week we talked about it because I didn't know that, and the other thing I'm happy it came out organically, you said that during the Biden administration, they did start counting some payments, like, okay, one thing that I do wanna bring light to is that and you help me with this, so this is a part of the service you provide, but you help me keep my paperwork in order, so if you don't apply right? If you don't do your paperwork every year right on the dot, if you miss your window, they'll disqualify you from the low income driven plan and the 10-year, right? I don't
Well,
know
they
if public service has the same terms, but isn't it strict? So that's why
It
we
is strict. So, okay, so for the income driven recertification, so with the income driven loan forgiveness program, what they do is you submit your income and family size, and they'll calculate your payment for 12 months. You make that payment for 12 months, and 3 months before that expiration, that 12th payment, they're already asking you to submit your current income so they could calculate your payment for the next 12 months. So, yes, you have to keep up with that. If you don't submit it on time, then they place you on a standard plan. And the reason you're on the standard plan is because you missed the deadline. That is the most important deadline when it comes to the income driven plan. For public service, the public service application, which is a separate application, thankfully it doesn't have a deadline because they're just going by you're certifying your employment date, letting them know you're still employed there to please update your payment count. So it's two different applications, but that recertification, you are correct. It has a deadline, very, very important. And during COVID, they kept extending them. So you didn't have to do them because all they did was keep your payment the same and extend it to the following year. And up to this year, they kept extending them. But now, anyone in an income based plan, pay as you earn, or income contingent, recertifications are back in order. The
Mhm.
only one that is being extended is the SAVE plan because the plan is in litigation. So anybody on a SAVE plan is just their recertification is just pushed another year until they come back and decide when they're going to eliminate the SAVE plan. But for right now, everyone just keeps getting extended for the
but it
SAVE plan only.
but their payments are in deferment, administrative deferment, and that is
Yes.
using my word deferment?
It's an administrative forbearance.
Forbearance, for yeah,
Yeah,
forbearance, okay. And then those do not count.
not count.
Yeah.
Those so anyone in the SAVE plan that's on that administrative forbearance, because if you're in the SAVE plan, you are in an administrative forbearance. Those payments are not counting towards loan forgiveness, not like it did during COVID. Even though it's an administrative forbearance, it specifically states that when they put it into litigation, that was one of the things that they added, that payments would not count. So
Mhm.
even though you're not making payments, even if you have a $0 payment, because the plan is in litigation, there is just no credit being received. So if you want to be back in repayment, you need to switch plans now.
Okay.
So it's,
Or right, and buy back your months.
in public service only. You
Okay,
can only buy back if you're in public service.
save plan in both public service and regular.
The SAVE plan is an income driven plan. So
Okay.
but for those not in public service, you
Mhm.
can't buy them back. So if you want them to count, then you need to exit the plan and get into another plan as soon as possible and start making your
I think
payments.
the public service is the better bet if you wanna borrow money.
Yes, absolutely. That 100%. Get that nonprofit organization, work
Yeah,
for the government, city, local, county, town, rec center, the city rec center, whatever it may be. But, you know, that is your best bet.
yeah. There's just so much to learn, you see what I mean?
There.
And I get worked up because I don't wanna miss anything. I really do, so that's why I was like, "Oh, she needs to come in here and just educate us all." Um, if somebody, though, wants to work with you because it's overwhelming, and I know you do free consultation. I started working with you I think it was 9 years ago. I did it on my own. How crazy.
I know. I know. It's
I found you because I was working at a school and I had a coworker, and she was telling me, like, if you don't understand your loans, work with this person. And at the time it was called I thought it was called
it was
maybe
the law.
what was
It's
it?
it started, so we are under the law office of Paul Krasker, but we have our own name. So we are Credit Brain Student Loans.
Right. But it wasn't always that back then, right? It was maybe just Paul Krasker back then.
Yeah, the law office of Paul Krasker. That's correct.
So funny. And I was like, okay. And remember calling and I'm like, okay, like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I understand the mindset of that person that just feels in over their head. They don't understand it. It's like a foreign
Right.
language to them, but just do it. It's the best gift you're going to give to yourself because you don't want to be, especially I have friends. I hope they listen to this and hear me because I say it to their face. They have little kids now. And like in 10 years, your kid's gonna be 10 or 11 years old. And like you just want to be able to get yourself out of this situation. You don't want to keep accruing it and carrying it with you.
For sure.
And the only
Yes.
way to get that done is educating yourself and we're working with you because you do provide education. You're not just a service that just like is transactional. Like I just really want to emphasize that. I've learned so much and I don't know, like after Sam was working with you too, I'm like, oh, I'm doing the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have, and then I love helping people. I think that I just it's fulfilling, like if you can help someone. I mean, it's bittersweet when you're like, you've reached 120, we're done, and it's like, oh, but what a great feeling. I always say it's like I'm over the moon happy because I know I'm losing a client, but I don't see it like that. It's
Yeah.
like that client got their life back and that they can move forward with everything else. Like, what a weight lifted. And I mean, I find that it's an amazing feeling. So that's what I do. I love helping people. I think it's great.
Yeah. And you're really good at it. And I think you're passionate about it, so it makes it so much better, you know? So crazy. No, you've helped me so much and I can't wait till I'm more excited about my 120 payments than I was ever graduating from any program. And I got my master's. Not all three to start out with my associates. I do not care as much as I get as reaching that 120th payment. I
It's
can't
going to
wait.
be a celebration. I love
It
it.
it is.
We'll all get together and celebrate.
Exactly. Exactly. So if somebody wanted to do a free consultation with you and you wanted to be reached, how can they find you?
Definitely. So I will leave my name, Mali Martinez. My phone number, it's my direct line. It is 561-515-4703. Um, you could call me. I have my email address as well. Um, it's M Martinez at Krasker, Krasker law.com. Or I have a secondary email, and it's Y Martinez at my credit, CREDIT brain.com. So either or. But yeah, call. I'm for it. Again, the consultation is free. I mean, what is it going to hurt? It's free. So, and if you don't work with me, that's perfectly fine. At the end of the day, everybody has their own situation, and I understand it. So, I get it. But we have helped so many people, and at least get a recommendation. Like it's free.
Totally. I'm telling everybody it's so worth it. And you can email her both email addresses. You
Yes.
respond from both. So
Yes, I do.
you could call her up. I do it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're very patient too. So even I've even gotten like worked up when I didn't consolidate my loans and realized I screwed myself. I'm like, I made the wrong choice. Why would you let me do this? And you really are you're a good sounding board, a punching bag, and I really am grateful for you.
No worries. I know it gets frustrating. And again, it's nice to have someone on the other line to say, hey, it's okay. Take a breath. It's all right. Let's just look at everything. And I always look at the whole picture because you have to look at the whole picture,
Mhm.
and just and go from there. Again, education is the key.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, thank you so much for coming on this week. And I'm going to put your information on how they can reach you in the show notes so that way if
Thank
they
you.
didn't hear it correctly, they can grab it that way.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening to Tell Me Everything. I hope today's episode gave you a fresh perspective, a little inspiration, or just something that made you pause and think. If you enjoyed it, make sure you are following the show so we can keep the conversation going. And share it with anyone you think might love it too. I'm so glad you spent this time with me today. Until next time.